Well, as we come on the air tonight, we are just a week from Election Day, and Maricopa County officials say security is a top priority. Tonight, they're giving us an update on the steps that they're taking at the tabulation center. Good evening, and thanks for joining us. I'm Mark Curtis.
And I'm Kadiva Devine. The sheriff's office says that it has a robust plan for next week, including additional staffing, drones, and around-the-clock surveillance at the center.
12 News journalist Bianca Bono is there tonight with more on what's expected next week.
To give you a sense of just how much things have changed when it comes to Maricopa County's elections, the sheriff says prior to 2020, there would be around 40 to 50 deputies involved in the security plan. This year, however, he estimates around 200 personnel per day. 1 week out from Election Day, and fencing, barricades, and metal detectors turning the Maricopa County Tabulation and Election Center into a fortress.
I think it is a sad commentary on what's happened in this country in the last 4 years.
In 2020, this building became the center of protest. Unrest outside, building as officials inside worked to tabulate results. And in the weeks and months that followed, elections officials received threats. It's why this year the sheriff's office isn't leaving anything to chance.
Once Election Day hits, we are on 24/7.
Sheriff Russ Skinner says he's blacked out vacation time for essential employees next week, and his team has a robust plan to ensure the safety of voters, poll workers, and those inside this building. It includes drones, uniformed and plainclothes officers, and snipers available to be positioned if needed.
I've got resources and equipment dialed up, ready to go. At this point, I don't see the need necessarily for snipers.
These comments coming on the heels of a concerning week in Maricopa County. A school teacher arrested for threatening prominent Republicans. Another man arrested for several shootings of a DNC office. And police say the amount of guns and ammo found in his home lead them to believe he was planning a mass casualty event.
We don't have any tolerance for any criminal activity.
Officials say they're monitoring social media as part of their security plan, aware of users with large platforms casting doubt on the county's tabulation process. Already, election workers have been targeted by those looking to spread misinformation.
This type of thing has to stop, and it needs to be more than just me and my colleagues speaking out against it. We need other elected leaders across Arizona, really across the country, speaking out against it. Election workers are off limits.
Officials say every law enforcement agency will be a part of next week's security plan, which extends far beyond Election Day, unable to predict. So instead, they prepare.
Anyone who thinks they're going to rattle the foundations of the democracy in this county, they've been unsuccessful to this point. They're going to continue to be unsuccessful.
In Phoenix, Bianca Bono, 12 News.
All right, Bianca, thank you. Tonight, election officials are encouraging Arizonans to vote early to avoid those long lines next Tuesday. In Maricopa County, 75,000 people have taken advantage of early in-person voting. That is the most that the county has ever had up to this point. As 12 News journalist Gabriela Becerra reports, some polling locations are already starting to see significant wait times.
With 1 week until Election Day, more people are showing up to early vote. We're outside Surprise City Hall, where voters tell us the lines got pretty long.
We walked into the door. I was thinking, well, what Tuesday is this?
Early voters in Surprise showing up in large numbers on the Tuesday before Election Day.
As the line continued to spiral, there was probably 100 people still here this late. Yes. On a work night.
Some people waiting between 40 minutes to an hour to cast their ballot at Surprise City Hall.
I would have waited for 10 hours on this election.
But voters tell us the wait wasn't due to issues, just large turnout.
It was smooth sailing.
Plus, the ballot is long, 2 pages front to back. Voters say even coming prepared was time consuming. About how long did it take you to actually fill out the ballot?
Gosh, probably 10 minutes
That's
at least.
That's what I was thinking, 10 minutes.
The deadline to mail back ballots has passed, but you can still drop it off at your polling location without the wait. How did it feel to get to walk right past the line, though?
Exciting.
Special. Those who did have to stand in line
Just come ready to wait, but make sure you get your vote in.
say it was worth it.
Polls are closing now behind us. So glad we made it.
Yes.
And don't forget, if you plan on early voting, you can always check online. Maricopa County has wait times for each of the polling places listed on their website. We'll have a link to that on 12news.com. In Surprise, Gabriela Becerra, 12 News.
Gabby, thanks. With the race to the White House now headed down the home stretch, both campaigns are making their closing arguments to voters. Tonight, Vice President Kamala Harris spoke at the Ellipse in Washington, drawing a stark contrast between herself and former President Trump, pointing out that the Ellipse was the same place where Trump lit the fuse that sent thousands of his supporters on a march to the Capitol that sparked the January 6th riot.
This election is more than just a choice between two parties and two different candidates. It is a choice about whether we have a country rooted in freedom for every American or ruled by chaos and division.
The Harris campaign estimates more than 75,000 people attended tonight's rally.
Meanwhile, former President Donald Trump spent the evening campaigning in Allentown, Pennsylvania, trying to win over voters in the crucial battleground state.
The fate of our nation is in your hands. It's in your hands. If we win Pennsylvania, we're going to win the whole deal. Got to do it. Next Tuesday, you have to stand up and you have to tell Kamala that you've had enough. You're not going to take it anymore.
Both presidential candidates will be in the Valley this Halloween. Former President Donald Trump is set to join Tucker Carlson's live tour in Glendale. We're still working to learn more about where Vice President Kamala Harris will campaign, but we know that her visit is set to focus on securing Arizona's Latino voters.
And you can make sure you're ready for the election by having 12 Plus downloaded on your TV. 12 Plus is where we'll be streaming hours of live coverage of the local and state races as the results come in. Just search for the 12 Plus app on your Apple TV, Fire TV, and Roku. Well, it is finally feeling like fall around here. A cold front has rolled in, bringing with it some much-needed relief. Meteorologist Crystal Long is here tracking just how chilly we're going to get overnight. Crystal?
Yeah, you know, it's tempting to have the windows open right now, right? And finally save on the AC bill, but you might want to shut them tonight because temperatures are dropping like a rock. They have fallen off some 20 degrees in comparison to 24 hours ago. So right now on your thermometer in Mesa, I've got 63, a pair of 6s in Phoenix, 62 in Sun City and Glendale. But notice some 50s already sneaking in here. Apache Junction, Santan Valley talking to you. Now you get to 4,000 feet and we're talking about a widespread freeze. 6,000 feet and up, a hard freeze tonight. And then we have some additional spots, as you can see here, with a freeze warning. So there's those temperatures tumbling down tonight. We could drop as low as the teens in Flagstaff and the Grand Canyon and Cree Bay and Mark. If we make it down to 55, that would be our coldest day since April 9th.
Ooh, that is chilly. All right, Crystal, thank you. New tonight, Tempe police arresting 3 people in connection with the shooting at the Arizona Mills Mall. Authorities say that shots were fired in the mall's busy food court back on September 13th. Police say that the gunfire caused minor damage, but thankfully nobody was hurt. Tonight, 2 adults and a 16-year-old are facing charges. You can read more about the case right now on 12news.com.
The Maricopa County Attorney's Office says they will not be filing charges against the homeowners who hosted the party where Preston Lord was fatally attacked. Prosecutors say the party didn't last longer than 45 minutes before the homeowners kicked attendees out because there was an unrelated fight. They also say there's no evidence that the homeowners supplied the teens with alcohol. Preston Lord was attacked a year ago yesterday and would die 2 days later. 7 people have been charged in his murder. The trial is set for next year.
Tonight, the future of a major piece of land that used to house a popular East Valley Mall is becoming clearer. The redevelopment project for the Fiesta Mall in Mesa is one step closer to becoming a reality.
12 News journalist and longtime Mesa resident Chase Golightly spoke with city officials to find out.
You can still see bits and pieces of Fiesta Mall are still standing. But for years, people wanted to know, what is this giant piece of land going to turn into? There was talks of a new community college, a hospital, even the new home for the Arizona Coyotes. But it turns out none of those were right. But the city tells me it will be something for the whole family. It was the mall in Mesa for decades. Then with other malls in the East Valley opening and online shopping, it started to decline. Its last store closing down in 2019. The hollow shell of a building was then demolished last year. This is what the land looks like today. Roughly 80 acres of nothing. Just giant mounds of dirt with bits of Fiesta Mall nostalgia left behind. But with the city's most recent approval, this giant dirt lot could soon be transformed to look something like this.
This is a really significant project for the city of Mesa.
Mary Kopaski Brown is Mesa's planning director. At a recent board meeting, it unanimously approved a recommendation to rezone the land for mixed use.
A place where people can live, a place where people can shop, a place where they can come and spend the day.
If approved by the city council, the developer, Verde Investments, would build 4,000 housing units, 1 million square feet for retail, restaurants, and offices, and a green space that could also be a venue for concerts.
We wanted to make sure that we had a vision for the entire 89 acres. That's probably the biggest challenge, I think, in this.
With plans to even incorporate some of that classic Fiesta Mall artwork that remains.
This is an iconic location.
Nana Apia, the city's development services director, says to get to this step has been a long process, but the future of what this will look like could also set the precedent for other projects.
We haven't seen much happening in large areas in Mesa, so this is a place that is going to set an example as the city ages and we look at redevelopment happening.
I'm told the Mesa City Council will vote to approve the rezoning in December, but even if they do, the developer said it could take up to a decade before everything is completed. In Mesa, Chase Golightly, 12 News.
All right.